The movie begins with a young orphan girl named Heidi. She had been living with her aunt for many years, but due to some reasons, her aunt could no longer keep her. So, Heidi's aunt takes her to the mountains to leave her with her grandfather, Alpohai. The people in town are afraid of him and believe that he once committed a murder. However, Heidi's aunt ignores all these rumors and doesn't even consider whether Alpohai might be dangerous for Heidi. She simply takes her to his house. While climbing the mountain, Heidi feels uncomfortable in her stiff dress, so she removes it to feel more at ease and starts enjoying nature. When they reach Alpohai's house, he refuses to keep Heidi with him. Her aunt pretends to take Heidi back, but instead, she secretly leaves her there and runs away. When Alpohai realizes that Heidi has been left behind, he tries to stop her aunt, but she ignores him. In anger, Alpohai decides to leave Heidi alone there and locks his house from the inside. With no other option, she finds a place to sleep in the barn with the goats. The next morning, Alpohai gives her goats milk for breakfast. After that, he takes her to the priest. The priest examines Heidi and confirms that she is completely healthy. He then advises Alpohai that it is his responsibility to take care of her. Alpohai insists that he does not want to keep Heidi. In response, the priest asks for 3 days to see if any farmer in town needs a child helper. Back home, Alpohai allows her inside the house. However, everything inside is set up for only one person. Seeing this, she finds a pile of hay. She happily makes it her bed and starts living there. The next day, Heidi meets a boy named Peter every day. He comes to take Alpohai's goats for grazing. One day, Alpohai decides to send Heidi along with him. He also gives her bread and cheese for lunch. Heidi enjoys her time because it gives her a chance to go outside. As Heidi happily enjoys the open sky, Peter secretly eats some of her lunch. When Heidi realizes this, Peter quickly blames the goats. While they are talking, two goats suddenly start fighting. Peter uses his stick to separate them, but Heidi doesn't like this at all. She makes Peter promise that he will never hit the goats again. In return, she agrees to share half of her lunch with him every day. Peter asks Heidi to keep their deal a secret because he is afraid of Alpohai. When Heidi returns home, she starts behaving strangely with Alpohai. She even insists on sleeping in the barn. Alpohai realizes that she has learned about the false accusations against him. He calmly tells Heidi that instead of believing others, she should listen to her heart and decide whether her grandfather could ever do something like that. Heidi's heart softens and she trusts her grandfather. She runs to hug him and then happily goes to sleep in the attic. The next day, Heidi again goes out with Peter and the goats. Meanwhile, Alpohai starts working on a crafting. When Heidi returns home, she is surprised to see in another chair at the dining table. Alpohai then tells her that she can stay with him. Hearing this, Heidi becomes overjoyed. In just a few days, she wins over Alpohai's heart and also becomes best friends with Peter. Feeling more comfortable, she even cuts her hair short. One day, Peter tells her that he won't be able to play with her anymore because he has to start going to school. However, he invites Heidi to visit his house anytime and tells Heidi that they can only play together again during the spring break. Hearing this, Heidi also wishes to go to school, but Alpohai does not send her. He knows that during the winter, Heidi won't be able to travel to town for school. As winter arrives, going outside becomes difficult for Heidi. Staying indoors all the time makes her bored and restless. Seeing this, Alpohai carves a wooden bird toy for her. However, it doesn't help much. To cheer up Heidi, Alpohai builds a sled that can move through the snow. He takes her on a ride, and it successfully lifts her spirits. After that, he drops Heidi off at Peter's house so she can spend time there. At Peter's home, Heidi meets his mother and grandmother. Their financial situation is very bad because Peter's father had passed away. However, Peter's mother is doing everything she can to educate him. After spending the whole day with them, Heidi returns home. She hugs Alpohai and realizes how lucky she is to have him. Time passes, and Heidi continues to live happily with her grandfather. Everything seems perfect, but one day, her aunt suddenly arrives. She tells Alpohai that she has come to take Heidi back. She now has a job that allows her to take care of Heidi. However, Alpohai does not trust her words. Pretending to be ashamed, Deet acts as if she is leaving. But once again, she tricks Alpohai and secretly searches for Heidi. Deet finds Heidi playing with Peter. When she asks Heidi to come with her, Heidi refuses. She tells Heidi that Alpohai also wants her to go. Hearing her grandfather's name, Heidi believes her and agrees to leave. When Peter returns with the goats, Alpohai immediately understands what has happened. He rushes down to town to find her, but by then, it is too late. Deet takes Heidi to Frankfurt, where they arrive at a grand mansion. There, she introduces Heidi. However, the governess is not pleased to see her. She thinks Heidi is ill-mannered and dirty. Deet reminds the governess that they specifically asked for an orphan girl. Heidi has been brought to be a companion for the owner's daughter, Clara, who cannot walk. Heidi excitedly pushes Clara's wheelchair everywhere around and breaks a vase. To protect Heidi, Clara takes all the blame in front of Fräulein. Now, if Heidi was to stay with Clara, she needed to learn many things. So, they clean her up and start teaching her how to live in the house properly. Heidi also starts studying with Clara, but when everyone finds out that Heidi cannot read or write, they are shocked. Fräulein immediately wants to get rid of Heidi, but she cannot do so before Clara's father arrives. So, she tells the professor to make Heidi study as well. Within a few days, Heidi learns the house rules, but she does not completely change. Whenever she gets a chance, she even hides pieces of bread in her pocket. Heidi wins Clara's heart and becomes very close to her. Clara opens up about her feelings, revealing that she was so heartbroken after her mother's death that she stopped walking. One evening, Heidi asks a servant, Sebastian, to open the window so she can see the mountains. But when she looks outside, she sees only buildings. Seeing this, Sebastian tells her that she needs to go to a much higher place to see the mountains. Heidi tricks everyone and sneaks out of the house with Clara. Clara is thrilled because she was never allowed to leave the house. They reach the city tower, and Heidi leaves Clara alone to climb higher in search of the mountains. However, she is disappointed once again, as all she sees are endless buildings. Meanwhile, Clara starts feeling scared, but then she notices a man selling kittens and decides to buy them. Meanwhile, back at home, everyone panics when they realize the girls are missing and rushes to the market to find them. Sebastian eventually finds them, and Clara quickly hides the kittens under her blanket before they return home. Before Fräulein can get angry at them, she starts sneezing because of her cat allergy. Just then, one kitten jumps from Clara's lap, and Fräulein gets so scared that she climbs onto a pole. During lunch, Fräulein makes Heidi stand facing the wall. She warns Heidi that next time, she will face an even worse punishment. This makes Heidi feel terrible, so she secretly takes all the bread she had saved and tries to sneak out of the house. But Fräulein catches her and scolds her, saying she should be grateful for the luxurious life and home she has been given. However, Heidi is more upset about Clara crying. After this incident, Clara's health worsens, and Heidi is consumed by guilt. Once Clara starts feeling a little better, Heidi visits her room and explains that she was not leaving because of Clara. As Clara recovers, she returns to her normal routine, studying again. A few days later, Clara's father and grandmother arrive. Clara is overjoyed to see them, but Fräulein does not look pleased. Seeing Clara so happy with a friend, her father feels reassured that his idea worked. However, Fräulein tries to change his mind, arguing that Heidi is still wild and does not focus on studying. But Clara's grandmother has a different opinion. Instead of believing what others said, Clara's grandmother wanted to see everything for herself. That night, she tells Heidi a bedtime story, but does not finish it, hoping Heidi will try to read it on her own. Heidi then admits that she does not want to learn because Peter told her that studying is useless. Hearing this, the grandmother explains that Heidi should not believe everything she hears and should analyze things herself. Since Heidi loves stories, so she decides to focus on learning. The next day, Clara's grandmother tells her father that Heidi is a sweet child, but keeping her in the house is against her wishes, so she should be sent back. But he does not want this, as Heidi's presence has improved Clara's health. As time passes, strange noises start coming from the house, and servants often find the main door open. Meanwhile, Heidi works hard to finish the story and finally learns how to read. She proudly reads it aloud in front of the whole family. Seeing this, Clara's father realizes that Heidi is capable of staying in the house, but Heidi does not seem truly happy. After this, Clara's grandmother returns home. That night, while Clara's father is playing chess with his friend, he hears the same strange noises. Clara's father's friend searches the house, fearing that a thief has broken in. But in reality, it is Heidi who is sleepwalking. She unknowingly leaves her room, opens the main door, and stares at the open sky, just like she used to do while herding goats. Then, she returns to her room and goes back to sleep. The doctor checks Heidi and finds her shivering badly from the cold. The doctor explains that Heidi is suffering from homesickness. He warns that if she is not sent home soon, her health could be in danger. However, Clara's father is still hesitant to send Heidi away. The next morning, he tells Clara about Heidi's condition and explains that she needs to go back home. But instead of understanding, Clara becomes upset and locks herself in her room. Heidi is happy to return home, but worries about Clara. She goes to talk to her, but Clara refuses to open the door. Finally, the time comes for Heidi to leave. Before going, she gives Clara's father a wooden bird that Alpohai had made for her and promises Clara that she will visit again. Fräulein thinks that now the house will be peaceful, but as soon as she turns, she spots a kitten. The cook picks it up, decides to keep it, and names it Heidi. Meanwhile, Heidi returns to Alpohai's town, where everyone is overjoyed to see her. She quickly goes to meet Alpohai. However, things have changed. Alpohai now sends Heidi to school, and during winter, they move to a house in town. Heidi's new teacher is kind, making learning easier for her. Everything returns to normal. Heidi finally gets the life she always wanted. Even though Heidi is happy with her new life in the mountains, she still misses Clara. She writes letters to her, and when Clara reads them, she feels sad sad, realizing that she never even said goodbye to Heidi. Seeing her granddaughter upset, Clara's grandmother decides to take her to Heidi's home. When the two friends reunite, they are overjoyed. Clara's grandmother then decides to let Clara stay with Heidi for a few days. Heidi shows Clara how she lives in the mountains, and they grow even closer. However, this makes Peter jealous. One day, he pushes Clara's wheelchair off a cliff. Everyone quickly realizes that Peter is responsible. To ensure Clara's safety, Alpohai stays with both children at all times. But then, Clara sees a beautiful butterfly and, without thinking, stands up to follow it. She struggles at first, but manages to take small steps. With Heidi and Peter's help, she continues to improve. A few days later, Clara's father and grandmother come to take her home. When they see Clara standing on her own, they are overwhelmed with happiness. Before leaving, Clara promises Heidi that they will meet again. Clara's grandmother also gives Heidi a diary and a pen. In the final scene, we see Heidi happily tending to goats with Peter, just like before. But now, along with her daily routine, she is also writing in her diary, fulfilling her dream. And with this beautiful moment, the movie comes to a heartwarming end. Thank you for watching.